There is a lot at stake, so let's break it down.
You are Locked On Louisville, your daily podcast on the Louisville Cardinals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Card Nation, what's going on? I'm your host, Dalton Pence. Welcome in to Locked On Louisville, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network in the world. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can place a $5 bet, and if that bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today to get started. This second Monday edition will be all about tomorrow night's matchup. Number 12, Louisville, hosting number 9, Kentucky. I'm going to give you my thoughts on this Kentucky team. We'll discuss who has more pressure to win this game. Is it Pat Kelsey? Is it Mark Pope? But we're going to start out with some general thoughts, the timing of this game, the spread, what is potentially at stake with the Cardinals' victory, and much more. This game being played at the KFC Yum Center, 8 o'clock tip-off tomorrow night. Can I just say, I've said it once, I'll say it again, I just severely dislike everything about the timing of this game. November 11th is way too early for this game. It's the earliest that this contest has ever been played. The game is before the football matchup. I understand there was an agreement. There are likely reasons as to why November 11th was the day. I just don't care. It should not be played in early November. This is a late December game. If it's not broke, don't fix it. It is what it is, I guess. Now, I would say this. I would much rather this game be played at the end of January versus the beginning of November. I understand that injuries happen, but you have a chance to get your team healthy. You have a couple months of games that lead you into maybe playing the best that you had all season to where both teams are theoretically at full strength. Now, Louisville is likely going to be at full strength. I know that Javon Hadley is questionable in this game, going through concussion protocol. Cason Pryor made his season debut against Jackson State, coming off of that ACL surgery. Kentucky likely missing Jaden Quaintance. Jalen Lowe made his season debut on Friday. JQ, I would just be very, very, very shocked if he appeared in this game. But regardless, I want these teams to be at full strength when they play. Don't you? Anyways, I continue to wish JQ a full and quick recovery as he gets closer and closer to getting back on the court. But again, don't like the timing of this game. November 11th is way too early. The spread, Louisville's a 3.5-point favorite. That's what they opened up as. I won't say I'm surprised. Usually in a toss-up game, the home team gets the nod. 3.5, 2.5. Is there really that large of a difference? Well, maybe, depending on how close you think this game is going to be. And I think it's going to be a close game. It's hard to get a read on both teams because we don't have a huge sample size. For example, both teams won each of their 2 games last week in blowout fashion. Not much to look into there. Hard to have concrete takeaways. Louisville, however, dropped a spot in the AP poll. They had 2 blowout victories in which they scored over 100 points in both. AP said, nah, let's drop you 1. I know some fans are upset about it. Personally, I don't care because you'll have every opportunity to prove that you belong in that upper echelon of teams. So the spread being 3.5, you understand with the home team getting a couple points just because of the fact that they are at home. It's pretty close to a toss-up game, as it should be. I think that that's online. In terms of what's at stake for the Cardinals, this is where I kind of go back and forth. I'll say that there are 3 things that I'm looking at. The first one is bragging rights. Duh, it's a rivalry game, and both of these fan bases have been talking trash over the past, 7, 8 months now about these 2 specific teams. Pat Kelsey went out and got 3 really solid guards from the portal, brought in Michael Brown Jr., had some guys returning. Mark Pope went to the portal to replace the majority of his roster, and ended up bringing in some solid pieces. Otega Oweh returns. You have some other players coming back. But all off season, Louisville's better. Kentucky's better. Kentucky's better. Louisville's better. Well, you got a chance to settle it here coming up on Tuesday night. So that's the first thing, is a win for Louisville. It's bragging rights. In a rivalry game, being able to hold those bragging rights for the remainder of the year until you play again next winter, it's awesome to have, especially for a series that, I mean, Louisville's been not really involved with, it seems. Kentucky has dominated, absolutely dominated this series. There's no going about that. Like, there's no going around it. This series has been dominated by Kentucky. Like, Louisville has the victories in 2013, 2016, 2020. But outside of that, it's been all blue. So especially for Louisville, getting these bragging rights would be huge. I'll say the second thing that's at stake here is the quality of victory. One thing that hurt Louisville last year is that they did not really have a signature victory that they could point to as justification for why they deserved a higher seed. Whether that's right or wrong, whether that's fair or not fair, that's the way that the committee saw it. And even though the goalposts move depending on teams and depending on conferences, I would imagine that strength of record and strength of schedule is going to matter. So getting those big victories, like last year, your best victory was Clemson. Clemson was a top 25 team, but they weren't a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. I would imagine this Kentucky team is going to be pretty good for the remainder of the year. They'll take their hits along the way because they play in a very good conference, but this is going to be a good Kentucky team. So if you can get the victory over the Wildcats, you set yourself up with a very early season signature win. And that's awesome because that's what you didn't have last year. And it gives you some more momentum going into a rather challenging non-conference slate. So that's the second thing, is a signature victory. Probably what matters the most in terms of face value. Yeah, bragging rights are great, but if you have high hopes for this team, you've got to win a couple of these games. And looking at the schedule in the non-conference slate, you have Kentucky, Arkansas, and Tennessee are the current 3 ranked teams in the non-conference. You'll have Baylor in mid-February. They're not currently ranked. Cincinnati, Indiana, Memphis. Like, you have quality opponents, just they're not currently ranked outside of those 3 SEC schools. So potentially getting a victory over the highest ranked team on your schedule outside of Duke would be huge. The third thing that I'll say is at stake here is Pat Kelsey's rebuild, the revival, if you will. It's been a smooth start so far. Like, yeah, there's been some bumps along the way. There's been some roadblocks, but 27-8 last year for the Cardinals, not bad. Not bad at all. All things considered, it's a great step in the right direction. You won 12 combined games the 2 years prior. You hadn't made the NCAA tournament since 2019. Last year was a complete 180. It exceeded expectations, but now you have to keep progressing. You've got to keep pushing that rebuild forward. Oh, but how do you do that? You get these type of victories, especially against Kentucky, because it means more. Anybody trying to undersell the rivalry is just either coping or flat out wrong. This game matters to both teams. You circle this game on the calendar when that date comes out, because this is arguably the best rivalry in college basketball. I'd argue that it is. If it got the same amount of TV time that Carolina Duke got, you'd be thinking about it that way. This is the best rivalry in college basketball. So, again, the bragging rights with a victory over a rival, what this win would do for your net ranking. You get a really good quad 1 victory. The top end victory on your strength of record looks nice. And then you hit this next step in a rebuild. I think it allows you to take another step up, because, I mean, it's no secret, when John Calipari was hired at Kentucky, Rick Pitino could barely win this game. Chris Mack won one of these games, and it was because, you barely won it, but Kentucky had one of its worst teams of the past decade. Kenny Payne didn't even want to win this game. John Calipari wants to blow us out. I only want to beat him by one. My gosh, some tough times over the past couple of years. But you see what I'm saying. If Pat Kelsey can pull this off in year 2 of the revival, if you will, I think it would be nice moving forward. But when we come back, let's take a look at the pressure. Who has more pressure to win this game? Is it Pat Kelsey? Is it Mark Pope? I don't think it's really that close. I'll tell you who I think it is when we come back. You're tuned into Locked On Louisville, covering your team every day. The holiday season is right around the corner, and that means it's time to get your home ready, whether you're needing more seating for guests, or cozy new linens, or fun serveware for holiday hosting. Wayfair's Black Friday sale is here to help you make your space shine. And the best part, you don't even have to wait. Wayfair's Black Friday deals are happening all month long with up to 70% off everything from sofas to spatulas. I recently upgraded my dining chairs from Wayfair, and it completely transformed the room. You can browse through their site and find it easy to get the pieces that actually fit your style without feeling generic. Don't miss out on all of the early Black Friday deals. Head to wayfair.com now to shop Wayfair's Black Friday sale up to 70% off. That's WAYFAIR.com. The sale ends on December 7th. Thank you all so much for making us your first listen of the day. Just a reminder, Locked On Louisville, free and available on all streaming services, including YouTube and TikTok. And also, thank all of the everydayers, everyone that tunes in periodically. If this is your first time, welcome. Thank you all so much for playing a part in making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network in the world. So very appreciative for you all for liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting. Be sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube and leave us a comment in the YouTube section below. But let's continue the UK U of L talk. I had some people ask me leading up to this game, who do you think there's more pressure on? Pat Kelsey or Mark Pope to win this game? I told them that I didn't think it was close. Now, let me say this, put that to the side just for the moment. I'll say this. There's pressure on both coaches. You don't coach in this game without pressure. You're expected to win this game if you're coaching at either Louisville or Kentucky. That's the reality. You are expected to win this game. That's why you become the coach of either team. But there's pressure on it. There's pressure on you. It's internal. It's external. It is what it is. Just the reality of it. So there is respective pressure on both PK and Pope. But who has more pressure on them? I don't think it's close. I think it's Pat Kelsey. And to really break it down and explain why, we got to go through the reasons. So we'll start with Mark Pope. And there's really 2 reasons as to why there's pressure on him. Number one, and this could go for either him or Pope, I call it the microwave society reason. It's not what have you done for me lately. It's what have you done for me now. Doesn't matter that you beat Louisville last year. If you lose to them this year, there will be some people complaining. I saw what people were saying after Kentucky lost that game to Georgetown in exhibition play. It was sort of irrational what I was seeing, but I saw it. And it would be the same way if Pat Kelsey loses this game, right? If you lose this game, you get criticized. That's just the turf you're playing on, right? That's just the job that you signed up for. The second thing is the roster. Everyone saw the rumors out there that Kentucky has a roster that likely is being paid a collective amount of $22 million, give or take, and arguably the top paid roster in college basketball. Now, with that comes higher expectations. Every year, BBN believes that this is the year that they win number 9. And really, can you blame them? I mean, if you're a blue blood program, you should always be expecting that you're going to contend for a national championship. But this year, what are the excuses? You have a roster that's costing upwards of $20 million. Now, there are some teams that are probably close, but Kentucky's the highest paid roster in college basketball, so that's going to add some pressure to Mark Pope. But those are the 2 reasons for Pope. For Kelsey, I'll break it down into 3. Number 1, the lopsided rivalry. Kentucky has dominated this rivalry to the point to where all the pressure's on Louisville, regardless of who's coaching. All the pressure's on you. You haven't won this game in what would be going on 5 years. 2013, 2016, 2020. Since John Calipari got hired, those are the only teams, those are the only Louisville teams that have won this rivalry game. Since 2009, 2010. It has been the same with Mark Pope. Mark Pope won the first matchup between these 2 coaches, but Chris Mack only won 1 time. Kenny Payne did not want to win 1 time. And even if he did, he wanted to win by 1. Gosh, those interview clips will never get old. Sometimes you're just going to look back and just laugh at them. Like, how did we let this go on for as long as we did? But the first one is the UK dominance. Like, the Cardinals need to notch another win in this rivalry because, truthfully, let's call it how it is, guys. It's embarrassing that Louisville's not winning more of these games. Call it what you will. I don't care. It's embarrassing. The second reason is specifically for Pat Kelsey. Mark Pope had a better first year. Now, you can argue this, that, or the other. Mark Pope had a better first year. Made it to the Sweet 16. Got a tournament win. Got 2 tournament wins. Beat some top teams. Pat Kelsey, on the other hand, did not win a tournament game. And his best win as the Louisville Cardinals head coach is 2 wins against Clemson. So I think for Pat Kelsey, this is an opportunity and some added pressure to go out there and show that you can win that primetime marquee matchup. You haven't shown it yet, and it's only a matter of time until you do. I'm not saying that he can't, of course. I'm just saying that it hasn't happened yet. So until it does, there's going to be that added pressure. Got to be able to win these types of games. If you were the head coach of the Louisville Cardinals, and you want to lead this program back to prominence that it's witnessed over decades, this is a way to do it. Or at least it's a great way to start. The third reason is pretty game specific. It's 2 parts. Number 1, it's a home game. Anytime you're playing at home, doesn't matter who the coach is, doesn't matter which team it is, the pressure's on you. Maybe it's very case specific, like let's say Kentucky was like the past 2 years, right? Louisville played Kentucky at home back in 2020, was it 23? In 2023, all the pressure's on Kentucky because Louisville, I mean, you know where that team was going. Kentucky was a top team. So that's where you're like, okay. But if the teams are close, the added pressure is by default on the home team. Now, the other part of this, I think, is the roster specifically. And I'm going to make a case here. Maybe you believe it, maybe you don't, but Kentucky is missing a starter, Jaden Quaitons, who's projected a top 10 NBA draft pick. Now, a lot of that's based upon potential. I have always been a huge fan of JQ. If you listen to the show, you know that. I'm not going to sit here and act like I wasn't advocating for Louisville to bring in Jaden back when he was a high school senior and back when he entered the transfer portal, because I definitely was. I think he's a really good player. Very, very good defender. Very good at protecting the rim and has a ton of offensive potential. Anyways, Kentucky is missing a starter. They brought back Jalen Lowe. Louisville is going to have Case and Pryor for this game. I think that the only reason that this wouldn't maybe come to play is if the Cardinals didn't have one of their starters, Javon Hadley, who, like I mentioned, is questionable because he's in concussion protocol. So, but anyway, you want to claim that, you don't want to claim it, that's fine. The reality is that you're at home in this game. So I don't think it's close. Like, two things can be true at one time. I think that both PK and Pope both have some pressure to win this game because why wouldn't they? This is a rivalry game between two top 12 teams. But I think that the second thing that's true is that there's more pressure on Louisville. Maybe not so much Pat Kelsey, but he's the head coach of Louisville. So there's more pressure on Louisville and Pat Kelsey both to be able to come out and win this game. Now, don't forget, guys, we are going to have another episode tomorrow continuing this preview talk. But I thought before we talk about keys of victory tomorrow, we really have to dive in and discuss this Kentucky team. I'm going to give you some of my thoughts and why this honestly doesn't really resemble a Mark Pope team as much as it does a John Calipari team. Don't come at me for that. Let me explain what I mean. You're Locked On Louisville, covering your team every day. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a larger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets to use when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Once again, tomorrow's episode will be an extension of the Louisville, Kentucky basketball game preview, but we're going to end today with a little know the foe. Some might be thinking, well, why are we talking strictly about Kentucky in this episode? Well, we got to learn more about them. How do you have a full inclusive preview without knowing about your opponent? Well, we've done the same with South Carolina State. We've done it with Jackson State. We're going to do it with Kentucky, and we're going to conduct a preview of Know the Foe with every team that Louisville plays, because that's how you understand and grasp what's at stake and what's going to happen in this game. Now, I will say this. This is another reason why I hate that this rivalry game is being played so early, is that there's such a small sample size to base your takes off of. But I mentioned, I think that this team is going to resemble one more like a John Calipari-led team than a Mark Pope team, because a Mark Pope team at BYU, last year at Kentucky, a team that can shoot the ball really well at high efficiency numbers, a team that you see a lot of passing, and it's going to be a squad that can light the scoreboard up. Now, I'm not saying that this team can't do that. I'm not saying that this team doesn't pass the ball. But from a shooting perspective, this reminds me more of a John Calipari team. Now, it depends on who you ask, I guess, and what you put much stock into. Because against Valparaiso, when UK scored 107 points, they shot 39% from three. But leading up to that game, they weren't really good at three-point shooting. And it kind of confirmed some of the thoughts early on, where you might have a couple of solid individual shooters, but I don't think you're going to be a very great shooting team. Like, I think Louisville's a better shooting team. But what Kentucky doesn't do well in that regard, they make up for it with physicality and defense. The defense, I think, is going to win Kentucky a good amount of games this year. They gave up 51 in their first game, 59 in their second game. Level of competition considered, I came into this season believing that the Wildcats were going to be a solid defensive team because they've got athleticism, they've got length, and they've got physicality, and they have interior presence. So I don't think that there's one aspect lacking, maybe in the backcourt. I'm not talking about Otega Oweh. I'm not talking about Cam Williams. I'm not talking about Denzel Aberdeen. I'm talking about guys like Colin Chandler, Jasper Johnson, Jalen Lowe. I mean, we saw what the Cardinals did to Jalen Lowe defensively last year, right? So, again, just because I see the identity of this team shifting from a regular Mark Pope-led team doesn't mean that they're going to be a bad team. It's just going to look different. These are two contrastingly different teams that are going to be playing on Tuesday. Louisville is a team that likes to dominate with guard play and shoot the ball really well, Kentucky is a team that likes to take it to the basket and win with physicality and win with defense. So both of these styles are going to clash. It's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top. Now, the main calling card with this Kentucky team, defense, physicality, taking the ball to the basket. Now, that's not to say that they can't make three-point shots. I think they're going to be a streaky three-point shooting team. Depth is another thing. They have a ton of depth. Right now, of course, it's early. You can't really take much away from it, but they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players averaging double-digit scoring. It's pretty good. That was one of the things when we talked about the overall combination of players on this team. Yes, you've got the preseason SEC Player of the Year, Otega Oweh, who I think hasn't played great in his first couple of games, but of course he's going to turn it up. Outside of that, I don't think you have a go-to guy. I just think that you are a balanced team, and that's going to be something that Louisville has to challenge is that, okay, I would do your best to take away Otega Oweh from this game and make everyone else beat you. Say, okay, look at the success last year when Oweh scored over 10 points for Kentucky, and look what happened when he struggled. That's got to be the thing. It's like, okay, if you can focus on limiting his production, that's where you could potentially have some success because you're going to have other guys step up. Now, that could work against you because you can't really zone in on one player because they 1 through 5 can all score the basketball to an extent. So as it relates to this team, I think that Louisville is going to have the backcourt advantage. I think Louisville's got the better backcourt. I think Kentucky at the moment has the better front court with Malachi Marino, with Mo Diabate, with Brandon Garrison, Andrea Jelovich, and always a guard to me. You could call him a 2-3 hybrid if you will, but Kentucky has shown more presence on the interior to where guys like Sananda Fruit, Kason Pryor, Ali Khalifa, Vangela Zugris, Javon Hadley, Kenai Roots. That's going to be, I think, the battle that might determine this game. How's the Louisville front court going to match up with the Kentucky front court? Which of these two teams is going to exploit their mismatch the best? Is the Louisville backcourt going to be more of an advantage, or is the Kentucky front court going to be more of the advantage? I think this Kentucky team is, of course, deep. They got the talent, of course, to be very, very good. They're good defensively. They're physical. I wonder how much of an advantage they're going to have in the front court. I'll be honest. Malachi Marino is a freshman. He's playing in this atmosphere for the first time in his career. Brandon Garrison plays and understands his role. Mo Diabate has played in the SEC. He gets it. Andrea Jelovich, sort of the same thing with Sananda Fruit, right? I think Fruit has been, he's been more impressive than Andre at this point, but again, he's got a larger role. He's always going to have a larger role. So that's a little bit of know the foe. Again, you might think, well, that's pretty generic. It's got to be. Can't really base much off of 2 games. So tomorrow when we come back, it's going to be keys to victory for the Cardinals. What needs to happen and much more. But that's going to wrap up the second Monday edition of the show. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Go Cards.